And of course, the vice president cannot officially become the nominee until the delegates have their say. The Democratic National Convention, as you know, is now less than a month away. An open convention is still possible if there are challengers, and that's a big old if. Chief Election and Campaign Correspondent Robert Costa joins us now. Bob, it's so good to see you. So much to discuss. Listen, we'll get to the process in just a minute, but I know that you talked to Donald Trump yesterday on the phone. What was his reaction? What is he saying?
Good morning, Gayle. Great to be with you. I asked the former president, are you ready to debate Vice President Harris now that the race has changed? He said, whoa, wait a minute. I'm not even sure Vice President Harris is going to be the Democratic nominee. So he said, why should I make a final decision on the debate? A sign he's already watching this Democratic process unfold on the other side. I also said to him, what does this mean for the race? Are you going to start running against Vice President Harris or whomever emerges in a different way? He said no, and he was very firm about that. He's going to hang the Biden record, as he put it, on the shoulders of whomever is the nominee and talk about immigration and the economy again and again. And I said, well, big picture here, what was your reaction to the news? He said, frankly, in his view, it was a shock to the country, but he called it good for the country because he believes, in his view, President Biden's not up for the job.
I guess it's too early to talk about if he's interested in debating Kamala Harris. Any word on that?
He has so far backed away from this scheduled debate at another network for September. He says it should be held by Fox News. And he also said he just wants to see what the Democrats do at their own convention. But it's pretty evident he would like to debate somebody at some point. Just no decisions have been made. The fluidity of all this has given the Republicans an opening.
Let's talk about the delegates, because there are 3,900 delegates currently who are pledged to Joe Biden. What happens to them, and what happens to all the money that has been raised?
Well, Gayle, let's say somebody out there is a delegate for President Biden. You're what we call a pledged delegate. If you're pledging anything, whether it's a sorority or fraternity or anything in life, that doesn't mean you're bound by law. So these delegates are going to Chicago as so-called pledged delegates, and they have committed in many respects to vote for President Biden. But that doesn't mean they have to vote for President Biden on the first ballot. But based on my conversations with many delegates last night and some text messages this morning, so many delegates are going to start pledging for Vice President Harris to signal that she is going to be the nominee in Chicago. But because it's not a bound process where they're forced to do that, it still could be open in the sense that if Senator Manchin or anybody else thinks about running and contesting Vice President Harris's almost nomination, they still have an opportunity to make their case to delegates. But there's a real effort right now in the DNC to get this process done, and even if it's not formal, make it effectively formal that she's the nominee.
And the money?
The money for Vice President Harris will be there because she's already on the ticket with President Biden. So if she becomes the nominee, she will be able to use the money raised by the Biden-Harris campaign, now the Harris campaign. But if it's somebody else, it's going to get complicated. You're going to have to maybe get some of that money given to the DNC.
All right, Bob Costa, I knew you would be the one to talk to today. Thank you so much.